So this demonstration is to discuss whether trusting the histogram is worth it. Should you always trust the histogram? Which I did for here. If you look at the histogram, I'll bring it up here. Look at the histogram. This is as good an exposure as could be had in this place because we've got bright sky up here. And if you look at the numbers under the histogram, when I bring the magnifier, let's see, what do we get up to? 95, 98.4, 95.3, 95.8. And in the deepest shadows, although that looks black in here, you've got 3, 4, 5, basically. So exposure is actually probably pretty good. So I'm going to create a virtual copy of this so we have one that we can go back to. I'm going to bring those highlights way down, and you can see the sun that's the problem to maintain that sky without blowing it out. Could I have gotten away with it blowing out? Possibly. But let's bring the shadows all the way up. But now, since we brought the highlights down, we have some headroom over here in the histogram, you can see, where we can open up the exposure some more to add some life. And now we start to see, oh, there's an interesting scene here. So let's do the texture clarity, and I think some dehaze as well. And then we'll add a bunch of vibrance and saturation. And all of a sudden, we've got kind of an interesting shot. Now, compositionally, I think there's a little bit too much of the right and a little bit too much of the left. And that's going to affect how we look at our edit. So, you know what? Let's leave it for now. Let's come back and do this. What I want to do is separate out the foreground from the background. And I'm calling this kind of this subject matter, this peninsula over here with the pine trees and the front of this mountain. I want to have them come closer to us. So how do we do that? Well, cooler colors recede. The blues go off into the distance. So I want to do the opposite. I want to add some warmth to this. Now, how can I select this? Probably the easiest way is just with a brush. Let's go to our masking panel, get a brush. We've got auto mask on, and I'm just going to drag right through the middle here. And I'll come up top and bottom. Some of this might have a little tough time because these colors are pretty close to the blue, but actually they seem to be working okay. And then I will just click into the trees, and that actually did a pretty darn good job, except we got some of the water here. So I can just hold down the minus key. Oh, let me make sure auto mask is on for that as well. Okay, so that's the area I want to warm up. So how do we warm? Well, we come down to color, and I'm going to add a bunch of yellow to that. More than I need, because I want to get this as well. More yellow and have it skewed towards green. And while we're at it, let's bring up the exposure a little bit as well. Now we can really see and hear a lot better. Unfortunately, over here has gone too green, so let's create a new mask. Actually, no, let's not create a new mask. Let's just hit enter. And let's come down to HSL, which is Hue, Saturation, Luminance, and see what we can do for these trees here. Let's zoom in to 50% so that we can see. These are the problem. These trees have gotten a little too yellow, a little too bright. So let's start with the hue. And if we click on one of these greens, we can push up and down and see, okay, if we push up a little bit, that makes them more green. Let's bring down the luminance. They're too bright. They're almost like day glow green. No, I don't want to make them too dark. I think about right in there is good. And in order to see it better, let's zoom out. Yeah, I think that works. And actually the rest of this looks pretty good. Now we just have to decide what to keep. I want to share this center part and coming off to the mountain here with the trees along the lake. This is too much of a distraction. We'll keep some of it, but let's bring up the crop tool and decide how much we want to keep here. And I'm thinking about right there. I'm going to keep just where the sun is. I don't want to clip the top of this tree, but I do want to get rid of most of the shoreline here because this is all about this group of trees here on the left. Now also we're going to come in from the right. I think go about around there. And do we need all the bottom? Probably not. Let's bring that up a little bit. In fact, this is a mirrored reflection. I mean, this is a complete mirror of the trees up and down. So I'm going to put the shoreline right across the dead center. and hit enter there. Then let's go to effects and add a vignette. And you know, that's kind of a decorative piece. I'd like to do something a little more in here, I think. Let's find out. Let's create a mask. Let's get a brush. We've got auto mask on. Let's just go in and select these trees. And is there something we should be doing to them? I'm not sure. Oop, I picked up the wrong mask. Okay. So what needs to be done? Let's try adding some clarity. We had a lot of clarity, actually. Ooh, I think that might have been it. Let's add some clarity. Dehaze is going to darken it. I don't think I want to do that. We can add a little texture. Color-wise, is it a little too blue? Let's come down, or up rather. Let's add a little bit of yellow back into it. Let's see how much we can get away with before it doesn't look right. They should be slightly blue because they are in shade. And as I'm looking at it, I'm still thinking that these trees over here are maybe a little bit too yellow. So I'm going to hit enter on that and hit K again, which gives us another brush. And make sure my auto mask is on. It is. And I'm going to just single click on these trees that look to be coming in a little bit too yellow. So let's scroll down, and the opposite of yellow is blue. Let's make them a little bluer. Yeah, I think that's looking a lot better. While we're at it, let's hit the Q key. I want to see, oh, we got a bunch of spots. That's because of the A. If you hit the A key, you get to see your spots. Let's go to spot removal. I'm going to use the heal tool, which is the middle one here. And I've got my brush just a little bit bigger than the actual spots. So let's go ahead and get rid of these. Almost done. One more. So I've got visualized spots, and although they were very subtle, they were showing up. So you can see there's the edges, but as we come all the way up, yeah, that's better. Now there's a little spot here. This is just a rock sticking out of the water, so that's not the spots up in the sky. So we can hit A, and yeah, it's a little twig sticking out. That's fine. And let's just hit enter and enter again, and they're gone. So that was pretty cool. We were able to pull out something that's pretty decorative. In fact, let's go full screen here. So there's the image. Oh, there's one other thing we didn't do. We didn't go through sharpening. In fact, let's do that before we go any further. Let's go down to detail. And I won't let you see. I'll let you see this thing's pretty sharp. Let's bring up in here. And then you see as it draws in, it comes in. Let's add a bunch of sharpening. But I don't want it to sharpen the sky, because if I do, it's just going to add noise up in here. So we hold down the Alt key, click on the masking slider, and drag it over until the sky goes black, and we just see the borders of our edges. Pretty far out, like about that. Okay, there we go. So now let's go full screen. And that actually is really quite beautiful. It's very peaceful. And this is one of those images where I really like not having any clouds in the sky, because it's all about the trees and the lake. When you consider that's the raw file we started with, and you would think, oh, there's no way that I'm going to bring that back. And the answer is yes, because this was exposed for the sun up in this corner. I didn't want it to blow out, which meant I was going to have a nice gradation left in the sky. And bringing up all the shadows was obviously possible, because there's the result. Could this be even a little bit more panoramic, a little more less off the top and bottom? That's a subjective call. That's yours. But I think this is really just a peaceful scene to gaze out on. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and have a great week. Bye-bye.